What's up, guys? It's your girl Nova, and welcome to the Bridge Workshop Series. I'm so excited. Today, we're on a different platform. We're on Facebook now, and we're on YouTube. Super dope, super psyched about it. Like I said before, drop your questions down below for our special guest today, and we have a special guest in the building. Okay, she worked at Hot 97. She worked her way up to the executive role. All right, she worked at Entercom, which is the home of CBS Radio and many more radio stations. She runs her own business, and now she is the product marketing manager at VP Records. So help me welcome Barbara. Yes, let's get her on the street.
That was dope.
Yes.
That was dope. That was dope. Hey, Nova.
What's up?
Your face.
I haven't seen you in so long. Like,
no, I hate quarantine.
Same here. Same here.
I'm happy we got to do this.
So thank you for coming on the workshop. It's very very informative, and I'm very excited to hear the information that you're going to share with the lovely viewers. And like I said before, guys, I'm gonna put this down here. Drop your questions down below. I'm using a new kind of stream. Okay, so got a lot going on.
Yeah,
but so tell me about your experience at Hot 97, because I know that is such what's the word, prestige place to work at, especially when you're in the entertainment business in New York.
It's popular.
Yes. So explain that. How did you even get into working at Hot 97? Like, take us down that road.
So I went to Brooklyn College as my college. I wouldn't say of choice, but I went. And I majored in media studies, TV and radio. And I was so eager, because, I'm a freshman in college. And here I am, sorry for the noise in the back. Here I am finally doing work in an area that I love to do. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I knew in what field I wanted to be in, which was media and broadcasting. So my freshman year, I enrolled in the Magnet Center at Brooklyn College. And that's basically like a career resource center that they have there. And I basically set up shop and said, hey, this is what I want to do. Please send me any kind of information that you guys may have that will help me in this journey that I'm about to embark on. And in my freshman year, they sent over intern recruiting events for different media companies. And I signed up. And prior to me going to the events, this is my first time going to something like this, right? I'm a freshman in college. Prior to me going there, I researched what happens at those things. I found out that you should use like a different kind of color resume paper, nothing like pink or purple, but something that will stand out as professional. I also learned how important it was to have a firm handshake. And I know that sounds kind of crazy. Well, it sounded a little crazy to me at the time. I'm 18 at that time. But I didn't think that was going to be one of the things that I was going to be told to do. So I was told to have a firm handshake, look people straight in the eye, dress appropriately, of course, and talk my talk. And I basically kept all those things in mind while going in. And I met this person. His name is Andre. And he was the on-air promotions and street coordinator over at Kiss FM. I didn't even know at that time that Kiss FM was under a company called MS Communications that was also headquartered with Hot 97, CD 109, Smooth Jazz, and Hot 97, CD 101, Smooth Jazz, basically, and then Kiss FM. So I went, saw him there, and when I shook his hand, he basically told me that his hand almost came off. So from right then and there, I made an impact.
Right.
So my resume stood out. I shook his hand so firmly that he had to mention it, looked him straight in the eye and said, hey, this is what I want to do. So hire me, basically. Then about a week or two later, I got a call from someone in the promotion department asking to interview for an internship. I went, interviewed. I remember that day was my birthday. We'll never forget that. And I got accepted.
Okay.
Now, this should be great news, right? But it wasn't at the time. Here's why. One, because I didn't know I was going to get an internship, my classwork or my class schedule didn't allow me the extra time to do so. Also, I was a freshman and I got a lot of pushback because usually internships go to juniors and seniors. So the Magnet Center actually wasn't going to support me because I needed a letter or something of that nature, or credit. That's what it was. They wasn't going to support me at that time. Next semester came around, you know, and I made it my duty to make sure that I had classes that fit an internship. And I basically found another way around getting the college to accept my internship. I was told of some course I can take, spoke to the professor, and he allowed me to do it. I had the internship. I think I had to write like a 10-page paper at the end of it. And from that was the jump start of my whole career. So I got in through the internship over at Kiss FM. I was hired by Charisma, but because of Andre, he introduced me to her to then get the interview. And that's when I got through the doors of MS Communications. And that's where the journey began. So that's how I kind of got in there. I like people to know that, you know, sometimes your entryway into a company is probably through another route. So, you know, although the most popular thing to say is Hot 97, my career started at MS. It started with Kiss FM, and then I basically, you know, because they're all intertwined. So I just made sure that every single station and every different department felt me and knew who I was at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so then I became a promotions intern for Kiss FM, and it was me being able to open my eyes into what goes on behind the scenes when there's contesting. You know, people always ask, do people really win these prizes?
Yeah.
Yes, they do. It's very important that they do due to legalities and stuff. I learned a lot about people, you know, the audience that listen to the radio station, how contesting is done, how important, you know, when you see a radio station out in front of a wireless store, how important that is to the station and to the company. I learned about different hierarchies, you know, different departments, but I don't want to keep rambling. But
no, right.
That's how I got in. Yeah.
So, let's talk about the importance of when you are an intern, working your way up, because I feel like a lot of times when you're coming into a company as an intern, it's just like, okay, I intern for like 3 months and then you don't get the job. So what advice can you give to people who are currently interning? We have a question. 1 second. But what advice can you give to people who are interning and want to land the job or winning that job over the other interns?
First thing I would say is be the best intern you can be. Show leadership, show that you have skills, and show that you can be trusted. After that, I will then find out who the power players are within the company. So you should look beyond who's in your department and think about who's running business, who's running HR, who's the head of this department. Because all senior management talks to each other, you know, and if you want to gain a real position there, you want to have the support of people they already know and trust there. So my advice would be to, one, obviously do your job, do it to your best of your ability, go above and beyond, find ways to make the job easier and more efficient for the department, and also by finding out who the power players are. That's very important. And that was one of my main concerns. You know, I didn't want to go in and leave. You know, obviously you fall in and you fall in love, especially if it's something that you really want to do. You fall in love with the company, with the people. You already got your groove, you got your commute, you know. So staying was very, very important to me. But the ratio or the rate of interns who actually stay is very slim. But I was blessed with the opportunity to do that because right after, well, I would say right before my internship was over, there was a position for a receptionist that became available. It was part-time. And it's funny because the receptionist at the time actually was got promoted to sales. So that's why they needed someone to cover her. Now, as an intern, if you remember, you still have to do some front desk work, right? And that's another thing, you know, get the receptionist to like you, to know who you are. Yeah, it's very important. People forget that these kind of roles are really like a big part. Yeah, especially with the HR person, right? Because think about it, she directs to the HR person, like she reports to her, I should say. So if she's reporting to the HR person, I want to make sure she knows that, hey, I'm a good catch, you know? So I made sure that even when I was up in the front desk, I was doing the best that I could, going above and beyond, even doing there. You know, no job was too small for me. I was cleaning closets, Rolodex, ABC order, all of that. So the position became open right before my internship was over. And again, I'm a freshman, right? Why would they want to hire me to be a receptionist or for the company when there's way more qualified people, you know, people who are older than me, you know, to do it? At first, I was a little scared, but then I said, nah, I'm going to go for it. So what I did was I created a PowerPoint presentation to the HR director, letting her know why I should be the receptionist over MC Vacations. And it
game, girl. I didn't
and it worked. You know, she said she never had someone do that for a receptionist job. You know, I basically talked up about my experience in high school. I talked about my experience as an intern. I got the people in my department to back me up. I sent her like things that I did, writings that I did over as an intern, papers that I did, anything that could make me look good. I put it in that PowerPoint presentation to let her know why she should hire me. And after interviewing me, I got the job. And from then on, I basically made my way through almost every department until I landed.
Okay, so we have a question. How was the vibe at Hot 97? Were they friendly?
I would say that they're very open into training young talent. However, you have to prove yourself. So it's not like a thing where they see you and they're like, oh, okay, we're best friends. You know, let's go to work or let's go to lunch or something like that. Nah, like in any and everything, you have to prove yourself. You know, it's not just the Hot 97 thing, it's a company thing. Wherever you go, you must prove yourself. So I would say that they became the most friendliest to me after knowing how I worked. You know, I still have relationships from that place till this day. They hired like the best people over at MS. And yeah, that's what I would say, that they become way more friendly after they know you and trust you. And for that, I had the best experience there. Like they threw me a huge reggae baby shower when I was there. Definitely was there during my highest and lowest times. And I learned a lot. So, but of course there's not all personalities gonna gel with. That's just, you know, being in this world, you know. So if I know A, B, and C really like me, D kind of funny with me, I'm gonna stick with A, B, and C and keep it pushing. You know, it's never like a hate thing. It's just what it is. Yeah, so I hope I answered that.
That's well said. So let's talk about working in radio, because I know that right now you're working at a record label, and that's like a whole nother dynamic of the industry. So for the people who want to get into radio or who are interested in radio or who is currently working in radio but want to know about the different positions that radio offers, just explain a little bit how you work your way up with being a PA and, you know, working in programming, and then from programming you kind of transition into sales, because that's like another department by itself. So how is that transition, and how did you make that transition, and can you just kind of describe the different roles and maybe you can work your way up to one of those roles?
Yeah. So, you know, being so green when I started and then working as a receptionist there, and of course, and I'm still going through college, right? So I still don't really know what I want to do. I know I have these kind of skills, but I don't know where they belong. So after, I wouldn't say after, but even while I was being a receptionist, I was then inheriting some more work, which was to be like an HR assistant. From there, being an HR assistant, I learned a lot about onboarding, getting the correct paperwork for interns, legal situations. We have to make sure that the radio follows, like public files and things of that nature. And I then had opportunity to engage with other departments, right? So if programming is hiring a whole bunch of DJs, I then have to sit with programming and with the DJs to get their paperwork together and stuff. I remember when I was there, actually being an HR assistant, we had onboarded all the DJs that you still know now, like Young Chow, Billy Walla wasn't one of them, and basically all of our mixers that they have on till this day. Mm-hmm. So from then on, you start gaining some kind of work equity within the different departments. And really how opportunity came was me being there at the right time and the people at charge knowing who I am and how I worked. In radio, and especially when I was at that time, there was a lot of reconstruction going on. Mm-hmm. Things weren't really the same when we ushered in the digital era. And from that point, money was funny, I should say. So they wanted to make sure that they kept people there, but put more and more work on that person so that they wouldn't have to hire more people. So after, doing the HR thing, working in HR, I then got a relationship with the business department. They liked how I worked, how efficient I was in detail and stuff like that. So then something became open from there. Mm-hmm. And so then I was doing HR and accounts payable at the same time. After that, I gained some skills because then I could put that in my resume, right? Like I knew I didn't want to stay there, because I'm like an open person. I know I love to speak, love to be at events. Like this can't be it. Mm-hmm. But I'm in a building. So that's all that really mattered to me. And I'm still in college. So yeah, of course I'm going to want to continue to do this. Afterwards, I took a little break from radio and I actually got an email wanting me to come back in about a year or two. I took a break from radio.
Watching you when you work.
I took a break from radio because exactly what I explained about how them basically putting multiple jobs on one person, but not really necessarily paying me for that position. Right. And, at that time, I wanted to be a grown-up. I wanted insurance. I wanted benefits and all that stuff. And I felt like I was taking a little bit advantage of at that point. Remember I told you in the beginning, I was all in, right? I was cleaning closets. I was receptionist.
You dues already.
That I could. But then I got to a point where it was like, okay, y'all keep having me stay here and giving me more jobs, but not really paying me for it. So I had to, leave out of respect for myself. And it worked out because they called me back for another position about a year and a half, 2 years later. That position was a traffic position. So I was hired to basically coordinate all of our advertisers, be on schedule to be on air, ensuring that the DJs and jobs and personalities say what they have to say, do what they got to do in order to, complete the buys or the campaigns that we have. That didn't last too long because, again, another reconstruction happened. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I believe Kiss FM was sold. And my position then transitioned into programming. And that's really where I got, my name. Because from programming, again, they gave me 2 jobs, which was a programming assistant and sales assistant. And that's where, when I got into those roles, is where I knew where I was going to stay. So I was happy because I finally found my niche. And how the cards played out definitely worked in my favor. So I could be there again at the right time. Because when all this was happening, I was told that although they knew they just hired me, they already had plans on shuffling me around to do this specific job because they already knew how I worked. So from then on, I was assisting Carly Hustle and Ebro Darden. Carly Hustle was the music director. Ebro Darden was the program director at the time. And I learned a lot from under them, especially Carly. Right now, I know she's not over there. She's at Apple, but I really still, thank her internally because I learned a lot about being a woman in the workplace from her. I learned a lot about, speaking up, knowing your innate intuition, what they're telling you, and going for it, and not letting any man talk down on you.
That's what I was going to get into, because something I admire about you is knowing your worth. And you know your worth, and you're not going to take nothing less than what you're worth. And I think a lot of the times, especially when you're young in such a male-driven, male-dominated industry and very cutthroat females, it's like you have to know your worth and know where you stand and find your voice. And that, I think that's the most difficult part, is finding your voice. And once you find your voice, that's it. Like, all that's
and sometimes, unfortunately, when you do find that, you ended up realizing that you have to go.
Yep.
Unfortunately, because they liked when you didn't find yourself, when you don't have that voice, because then other people can be more dominant. But then when you finally realize, oh, hold on, like how powerful your voice is and how powerful your mind is, unfortunately, that leads you to leave as well, if the environment doesn't support that.
I agree. We have a question. Do you feel like working at both Hot 97 and Entercom gave you a broader look at the radio industry?
Definitely. And in different spectrums too. It's two different companies. So how they run their radio stations are very different. MS Communications at the time, who, when I left, we had BLS, Hot 97 there. It was more of a culture that I was familiar with. I would come into work, what up, girl, what's up? Let's talk about what happened over the weekend. Did you see what Beyonce did? I remember when we all heard the news, Beyonce was pregnant. All of my female coworkers cried together. And then after I left there, I went to Entercom. No one said hi in the hallways. People look at you straightforward. The culture was different. I was then being asked to represent like a top 40 station. And then they had news and CBS 101 FM and all that stuff. At that time, I took it on as a challenge, because I didn't want to be seen as the person who just know urban. I wanted to enlarge in, my network and be able to get different types of clients that I probably wouldn't be able to get over at HOP or BLS. But the culture was definitely different. Also, MS was more advanced in their digital space than Entercom. So a lot of the times, I suggested things or knew how things should work, but I'm a newbie, right? And so they weren't really trying to listen to me. Not only am I a newbie, I didn't look like most of them. I was probably, at that time, I think I could count, there was 2 other Black females working in sales at the time. So I was the third one out of probably like a pool of like 60. So yeah, the environments were definitely different. However, I gained a lot of different experiences from both of them.
Okay.
But yeah, and it definitely gave me a broad look in the radio industry, because I could then figure out, how one company thinks and operates versus how another company thinks and operates.
And it gives you, like you said, a better resume in the end.
Yeah.
So let's talk about networking. And I always ask people about networking, because that is like the key thing when it comes to entertainment. And I love to hear people's different perspectives and strategies on how they network. And I know that you were saying that at Hot 97, you met a lot of people and you still are very tight with a lot of them. So how do you go about networking? And especially with like this time now, we got to do everything virtually. And also, how do you nurture and maintain those relationships and keep them pure and authentic and organic? And also, how do you know when to, and I know I'm like loading a lot on you, but another thing is, how do you know when to ask that person for help in your network? When is the right time? So
over at Hot, before becoming an account executive, I was a sales assistant. And even as an assistant, they would allow me to basically get my clients and run my orders. I guess that was kind of like my trial period, right? And, even when I then became an account executive, how I was able to work my network was by meeting them, meeting new people who had, similar goals, who was in the same radio or even TV atmosphere. I use LinkedIn a lot. I also, whenever there was opportunity for events, like a summer jam or SOBs or any, there's plenty of events going on radio. That's another opportunity. I was always out, at events, another way to meet people. At sales, it was my job to find people, right? And how I would do that is, stalk them on social media, see what they like, their dislikes, what colleges, universities, certifications they might have on LinkedIn. And I would just send, it wasn't, I don't want to say it was easy, but when you introduce yourself as an executive who works at a very popular station, most people want to talk back to you, And so with that, when I gained my clients, they then became my network, and I had to gain them because it was part of my job to find people to connect with who might want to advertise or, elevate their branding with the station. So that's how I was able to do that through social media, LinkedIn, and events, and keeping the relationship. So it's how you meet that person, and from meeting them, seeing what their expectations and goals are, and aligning yourself to be that person, to be the resource for them. So that's how I like maintaining my relationships. I like to make sure that, not only can we talk about Beyonce or any pop culture news, you can also talk to me about what's bothering you in your business. You can talk to me about who you want to connect with to help get you to the next level. You can talk to me about, you wanting to increase sales or want to increase your brand in one particular area. Like, I want to be that resource person for you. So that's how I maintain them. And during COVID, to be honest, I feel like we all had a period where we wanted to disconnect. I know I did. I wanted to disconnect for a little bit, and focus on what was going on. I have a son, so that was a little managing that I had to do with him in his school. But sending a text, hey, I'm thinking about you. Hey, hope you're okay with what's going on, with this whole thing. There's a lot of times I really wanted to make sales calls, but that wouldn't be very human. What's more human is just say, hey, hope you're okay. Hope your family's okay. Thinking about you. And hit me if you ever need anything. That kind of thing. I haven't been too pushy. I haven't been keeping track of what's going on, though. But that's what I've been doing during COVID, and that's how I happened to get my network through how I entered before.
That makes sense. Yeah. And how do you network with artists? Because I know that's like a whole nother kind of networking. So when you're at Hot 97, especially when you're first starting and you're trying to get your feet wet and trying to make your name or build your name, how are you networking with the artists and getting them to respect you as like the executive or you as like the intern?
I didn't really have the need to network with artists. I was a programming assistant, and probably some of the artists that I did have to do some work with were artists who were up and coming, if they were doing like a Who's Next show or something at SOBs. But besides that, I went straight into sales, and my artists are clients with six figures. Because those are the ones that help build my name and my paycheck at the end of the day. Being cool with like a rapper is only cool for social media. It doesn't really help put money in my pocket and make sure that I get the clothes or stuff and my bills paid, stuff like that.
Right.
So I don't really, at that time, I didn't really mingle too much with artists. If I see somebody that I really, really, really liked, I'll take a picture of them. I have a picture with Beanie, Maxwell, Brandy, those kind of, things. But networking, not so much. I'm now, with my job, forced to network with, I wouldn't say network, but interact with artists now, being at a label. But over Hot 97, not so much. That was more of the program director's responsibility to ensure that the label and the artists are in good relationship with the station.
Cool. And then working at Entercom, let's jump over there because I know that is like a whole nother ball game. How was that transition from urban? And I know you briefly touched on it, from the urban to top 40. And let's dive a little bit into dealing with racism, dealing with I'm pretty sure they had sexism too there. And being a Black woman with an executive role. Like, how was that?
So, prior to me coming into Entercom, I had a lot of experience already, right? I talked about my internship. I talked about working my way up. I talked about leaving, they calling me back, and me basically working in every single department. Became a sales assistant, had my own clients, and then finally became an executive, right? So going over to Entercom, one of the things that I remember is that there was an account executive there, a white woman who about the same age range as me. However, prior to her coming to Entercom with the account executive role, she informed me that she, was working in the nightlife area, bartending, stuff of that nature. And then basically wanted to do a change and then went into marketing and got hired for this position. When she left a folder in her drawer. In the folder, I found out she was making $20,000 more than me. Now again, no prior selling history, no prior radio history, and she was making way more than I was. And that was a huge blow, knowing that, because one, I worked myself into this kind of position. I have family to think about, and I have goals that I aspire to. And to see, what they offered her versus me, it was a blow. So I used that to my advantage though, because I could just imagine if she was a white female getting that, I can't imagine what the white males were getting. And it was such an all boys club over there with 10-10 wins. And the sports, WFAN, the sports station, forget about it. It was white, male, heavy, central, and I don't want to toot my own horn too much, but I want to say my knowledge, my experience, and me working over at MS, it helped me grow. It helped me become more creative. It helped me be able to do more creative things for my clients. And I know how my counterparts work. So to me, it was always like a fight because it's like, yo, I'm smarter than you,
It's okay, girl. Toot your horn.
I would never really feel like I would get that. So yeah, I was upset when I found out about that. And what I did was, instead of bringing that up to my boss, saying, yo, how come you paid her more than me? I basically laid out all the reasons why they should pay me more. I also gave them a list of upcoming clients that are signing on with the station that have never signed on before. So this is what they call new business. That the company, they drive off a new business, right? So I put that all together, spoke to my boss, spoke to his boss, and I asked for that same amount, the $20,000 increase that I told that the other lady had. And they never gave me that full $20,000 increase. They stopped it at 15, and they stopped it at the 15,000. But I was happy to get that. But that was another blow, because I know y'all got it. Look what she was giving someone who wasn't even bringing what I was bringing you, and they still didn't give me the full amount that I asked for. It's like, yeah, you deserve it, but as another blow to Barbara, we're not gonna give you what you asked for. We're just gonna give you this amount, kind of thing. Also, I would say
did they know that you knew?
No. Also, some deals, I found a little biased, but being in sales, it's important to get leads, and leads is what we call people who call into the station who want to advertise their business instead of us going out to find them. I received 0 leads at that place. 0. And other counterparts from other, radio stations or even the same station as me were receiving them. There were people who had built-in clients who, they know was making 6 figures because they liked them. They gave them, those clients. Whereas for me, probably being one of the 3 Black women there, why would they think of me to come to me to work something that they know was going to work? They'd rather give that to someone else, So I definitely experienced bias there, but all of that, negative experience, I took as positive, which is why I even started my company, where I don't have to even worry about people giving me anything or have to show my worth to someone. Like, I know who I am and what I was and what I bring, especially here in New York, so decided to do my own thing. And I just use all of that negativity into something positive. So now I have something of my own, so that I can call my own, do my own thing, make my own money, don't have to worry about, splitting my commission with anybody. So it is what it is.
That's the part that, about that company that really sucks, because I feel like it has so much potential, but it's just, I don't know. But let's talk about the actual job in sales. So what exactly does that job title what exactly do you do as like a salesperson or an executive in sales? Do you guys find different advertisers for the station? Do you find opportunities? Like, what exactly do you do and how do you do it?
So it is our job as an account executive to find brands that have the same audience similarities to us, and that we can find creative ways to help with their goals, basically. So I guess an example of that would be, one of the clients that I had, has a company where they put on live events, but African events, right? So like African concerts, festivals. So, he would bring out the Tiwa Savage, the Flavor, the Wizkid, all the big names in Afrobeats will come together, and he put on a show in different states called One Africa Music Fest. When I first saw the advertising for this, it was on social media. At that time, I was working at as an account executive. I said, okay, this guy has, a company where he's putting on live events for Afrobeats. We have, a big urban and very influential culture that loves that kind of music here at the station. How can I engage him to figure out more of his goals and how we can work together so we can increase ticket sales and awareness of his show? So it's our job to find, clients that, one, who have money, 2, who understand, the process of advertising. Then we have to go in and find their goals. Sometimes even working with clients, I found out that, they think their audience is like an 18 to 34, but after doing more research, you find out like a 35 to 45 kind of situation. So some clients, say, hey, my audience is, African-American women. And then after we became more engaged, I asked more questions, come to find out it's actually men. So it's our job to really look into the analytics and the details of the company and match it with whatever their goals are, and then coming up with ways to make their goals. So if it's like to increase their website traffic, increase ticket sales, a branding opportunity, we find whatever that is and put a campaign together to make it work.
So what does the radio station get in return? Is it more so that they get their logo and their branding on the event?
For this particular event? So
Well, yeah, like with the example that we're using right now, just to go along with that.
Alaska, yeah. Well, first of all, the benefit this station will always have is money, right? So it's like if I'm bringing a client in, I'm charging X amount of dollars. You know, basically 90% of that or 85% of that goes to the station, and then we get like a 50% commission off of that. So one is money. Two, you also want to do or engage with brands and advertisers that our audience would like. You know, you don't want to put, you know, a brand that does not make sense with your audience into the atmosphere. And it also helps their profile, right? So if Hot 97 was the station, or if BLS was the station to help you win tickets to a concert that changed your life, you will always remember that and have affinity to that station. So you're gonna, you know, listen again and again, try to win more things to all your people. Hey, I just won this over 107. You know, that gives people other, you know, opportunity to listen to station, do their things too. So it's kind of like a circle, kind of a 360 kind of thing. Yeah.
Gotcha. I wish I knew about sales before, because I would have got into that. They made it seem like sales was so horrible when I was at Entercom. Like, no, don't get into sales.
Well, it's definitely, you have to have thick skin. Like, it's definitely for like certain personalities. That I would say. You have to be a go-getter, have thick skin, take rejection, you know, and go above and beyond in order to get that client to sign, for sure. But it's definitely something that if you put your work into and with experience, I remember my boss kind of used a numbers kind of thing. So if you go after 10 people and you put 10 proposals in front of them, at least 2 is going to say yes. You know, so that's kind of how they look at it.
And now let's talk about your position as a product marketing manager. So what exactly is this position? Like, I would love to know, because you left radio, you know, you took a break, and then now you're here in a record label, completely different, a whole different. Now you're dealing with the music and the artist itself. How's that transition? And describe your position. What exactly do you do?
That was definitely a transition. You know, I spent all of my life in radio.
Right.
And then now I'm going behind another avenue into a label. I actually am celebrating my 1-year anniversary
today.
So this is really cool. In a couple of days.
Okay.
Yeah, a couple of days. Hold on one second. Sorry. You guys see anything? Okay. So what I do now is I'm basically responsible for the artist's budget and marketing their project. And it's definitely been an experience. So basically what I do is, for example, one project that I'm working on now, or maybe I could talk about something I already did. So I was tasked to help break an up-and-coming dancehall artist called Daddy One. The label was their first time releasing an EP with this artist. So it was my job to not only manage the funds, manage the budgeting, you know, how much is going into PR, how much is going into advertising, how much is going to digital advertising, how much is going to merchandising, what do you want to do for merchandising, what states do we want to hit, you know, what targets do we want to drive. So I was tasked with managing that and also finding marketing opportunities for him. One of the things that I thought of was creating like a little documentary about him. Again, he's supposed to be he is a rising dancehall star, but not a lot of people know a lot about him. So I thought of an idea to create like a documentary of Paul, who is Daddy One. So we flew to Jamaica, you know, got a lot of behind the scenes footage of where he records, where he chills with his friends, how he got his name, Daddy One, his whole family history. And I wanted to give the people a more in-depth look of who he is prior to the EP coming out. EP coming out, you know, we have to, you know, then find positions or opportunities for him. Can we get something on Apple Music? Can we get something on Spotify? And thankfully, we did get the cover of Dancehall Official from Spotify. I had also used, the labels and my connections from Hot 97, where we were able to get Ebro to feature one of his songs on his radio show, also put it on his Instagram, did the documentary, ensuring that all of his visuals are together, including his bio, his hype sheet, everything that, other partners of ours, like the ADA and digital partners, know about him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot that goes into it. Oh, radio opportunities, ensuring that we connect him with some leaders or influencers that can help push his songs and messages. So all of that is thought of press platforms, like I mentioned to you, we had this documentary that we did, but before then, we had a great spread from the Fader magazine, who covered him as, again, a rising dancehall star. So it's our job to manage the budget and find marketing opportunities for our artists, basically.
That sounds like a lot.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my God. Hats off to you, girl.
It's definitely a lot. And also, VP is an indie label.
Mm-hmm.
It's an independent label. So we're not working with huge budgets. So it's our job to, work with what we got.
Right.
Make the best of what we got. And that deals with being creative, your network. So, my network comes into play when I'm trying to plug things in, from our artists.
How do you approach that situation though? How do you approach Ebro and say, do you just text him and be like, yo, bro, I need you to do me a favor? Or is it more of a professional way? Or is it like how does that work when you leave a workplace and you're working somewhere else and you're like, okay, I definitely can use this connect, but you don't want them to feel like you're using them. How does that balance?
It's a science. I'm not going to approach them with everything.
Mm-hmm.
I have to play it out, And when I did approach Ebro about Daddy One, it was in a professional way. It was like, hey, you know where I'm at right now, and I'm so excited because I have my very first dancehall project. But it's not because of my first project I'm reaching out. It's because I really do believe in this artist.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in him, and I believe in his fans, and I believe in his stardom. Here are certain things that I did. Here's what you have coming out. Please let me know if you're able to place him in anything, while we roll out the EP. And that's basically what we did, what I did. We also had the relationship in with Apple Music too, with the label. I also, got in touch with the digital director, Steven, hit up other people from Apple too, to see what other placements we can get for him. Mm-hmm. But I don't like to overuse people. I don't know if you like saying use, but I don't like to over engage people with all of my projects. I have to make it make sense before I contact them. So yeah, I just have to place the right opportunity with the right person. And that's a science too. Mm-hmm.
The confidence in the project and really believing in it, because you could have sold me on that, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's get into your company, the real nitty gritty. Okay, tell the people what exactly is your company, what's your company's name, what do you do, and just all that good stuff.
Yeah, so it's called Gorilla 7 Marketing and Solutions. And the reason why I even started this company was because working in radio, especially radio being so localized, and not only localized, but they basically make money off of the people who listen to them. Mm-hmm. And I want to be a person where, so with the people who are listening to them, right? There's a lot of small businesses that we have out there through that. But I find with radio, they're really more focused on national clients. So like a Target, like a Stop and Shop or Walmart, or like the big national, wireless stuff. And not really giving light to like the everyday, probably laundromat or a school or a bank, a local bank who's really investing in the community. And when we do get those kind of clients, because of the prestige of the radio station, you know, they're charging like $3, $4, $5, sometimes even $700 for a 30-second commercial, or a 60-second commercial, or a minute commercial, and you know, those people are priced. So with my company, I really wanted to focus on my people. I didn't see a lot of that at the stations that I worked at. Of course, with the urban stations, you know, we did a lot for the community. But again, a lot of people are outpriced. So I wanted to start a company where I help businesses who are helping us. So an example could be like a charter school that I have. You know, this charter school is dedicated and ensuring that our Black children go to college.
Right.
They are ensuring that they are at the level of reading and science they need to be before going to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
You know, another client would be like a bank, you know, a bank that has a focus on investing Black dollars and it's coming back to us, you know, giving financial literacy workshops, and just basically things that are helping us. So because they're helping us, I don't want to charge them $700 for a commercial. You know, let's figure out a real targeted way to get the people you're looking for so that we both win here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I started here. And it's called Guerrilla 7. You know, Guerrilla goes into how marketing was kind of done back in the day.
Very flyers and cards and stuff.
Flyers, right, person to person, not so much, you know, hoping someone tunes into their radio station at that exact time to hear that exact commercial.
Right.
You know, it's kind of in front of your face already with different ways that we go about it, seeing us in the community. And seven I got from my son's birthday, and it's also a number of completion. So I felt as if this company kind of, I don't want to say complete. Yeah, it completed my whole marketing journey, basically. You know, kind of like, here's where I started and now here's where I'm ending. So yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
So, okay. So how can a business get in touch with you? What exactly would they need to have? Can it be, because there's a lot of businesses that popped up during the quarantine and they're doing pretty good with sales and stuff. So how would they approach you if they want to take their sales or take it to the next level? Like, what exactly would they need to bring to you for you to be like, okay, I want to work with this project?
Before doing business with anyone, like, I like to do my own research on them prior to meeting them. And then after that, I like to engage, like, make sure our energies match, you know, make sure that, you know, we're both in this for the right reasons. You know, I want to see also some prior activity before coming to me. Like, did you do anything? Was it successful? How much money did you spend? Do you have money to spend? That's important. And from then on, I then really want to make sure that I'm clear on their objectives. What exactly, working with me, do you want to see happen? And let's figure out what those benchmarks are together so that I can then present you with a plan that will make sense for both of us based on your budget, what you've done previously, and what you're trying to achieve. Mm-hmm. And really, I've been going after people myself instead of the other way around. I know I need to transition into being more appealing to people to contact me. But ever since, you know, joining the label, it's definitely been like a case-by-case basis because, again, I just got there. I'm a year in, and I really wanted to take my time into learning and doing the best job that I can at the label, because then I'm going to open it up to music marketing. So it's going to be even more than just local businesses. It's going to be local artists as well in about a year and a half.
So I asked you about that too, with your advice to artists who are up and coming. And since you are basically the person who runs the entire product and campaign, what advice can you give to a local artist who literally has no funds or a little bit of funds, and want that exposure? What exactly could they do? How can they get their song on the radio? Or a DJ? How can the DJ get a slot on the radio? Different for upcoming people. Like, what can they do? Like, what advice can you give them marketing wise?
Marketing wise, I would say to have a strong social media. So a strong social media following, filled with content, filled with who they are as an artist, any videos they may have done, any interviews they may have done, engage with other probably up and coming artists or platforms. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of platforms that are dedicated to up and coming artists. So find out who's running them, engage with them in that way. I would also see if there's any budget for like an audience analysis. Who is following you? Who do you have music on Spotify, Apple Music? If so, can you look to see where your listeners are coming from? How you could then expand on that. Before COVID, DJs and other influencers would have events. Are you going to these events? Are you networking with other people, letting you know who you are? Are you participating in local showcases? I know for Hot, they had a monthly SOB kind of thing for up and coming artists, but that was just Hot 97. There's other platforms doing that as well. Mm-hmm. I would also probably see if you could garner a team and people who truly believe in you and in your vision that can help you with different areas, because it's a lot of work. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot of work. But if you have a team, that's dedicated, and you separate their functionalities and their roles, that will also help as well. What else can I think of? Content is everything. Content is king. So it's important, to have videos, again, that I mentioned, of your music, even if it's just lyric videos. You could get that done on Fiverr for like $20, $50.
You let them know, sis.
Yeah. What else? What else can I think of? Those are the very important things that, make sure that your social media is intact. Get some, audience analysis of the people who are listening to your music. Like, you wouldn't believe how many artists that I've encountered who don't really know their audience, who don't know their top 5 countries or their demo, even at least. Those things are very important, especially when you're doing some marketing of yourself. What else? A team, getting a good dedicated team to help you with PR, help you connect with other people, help you connect with DJs and radio stations, and even playlisting, which is very important right now. Try to engage with those kind of people. What else can I think of?
What about
those are the main points.
What advice do you give them to build the capital to invest? Especially how you work with like a tight budget already. So you have experience with working and trying to make it work, like make a dollar stretch. Mm-hmm. So what advice do you give them to try and build that capital, or finding opportunities where they would use less amount of money or no money at all? And that's the question.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways, right? So with the team, you never know who knows who, right? So you want to shoot a music video, but your budget is tight, but you have someone on your team who knows someone who has a studio who's willing to give it to you for cheap. I also find it useful to gain some partnerships or some sponsors, so if there's like an up and coming clothing brand that's out there and you need some fresh clothes for your music video, hey, let me wear some of your clothes. I pump it up on social media. Again, my social media is important. I pump it up on social media, let people know that I got my clothes from you for my video. Another way people can do it is by signing to a label. I know there's a lot of, I don't want to say controversy, but there's pros and cons to signing to a label. But definitely one of the pros is that they have a set budget for you, mm-hmm. for marketing, to do whatever you got to do to get your product out. So that might be something you consider as well. What else can I think of? Of course, it would be great if you can find, someone outside of the label to help you with funds. Yeah, sometimes that's a manager, sometimes that's a PR person. But those would be my 3 ways to do that, or 3 angles to do that.
Girl, you was dropping gems this entire If people don't take at least one thing away, I don't know. They gotta really reanalyze their whole life, okay? So let the people know where they can follow you. And you know what's coming up. As you said, you're gonna be opening it up, your company up to artists really soon. So just let the people know where they can find you if they want you for your Gorilla 7 company, or you know, whatever. Like,
yeah, definitely Instagram. I need to put my email on my profile page. I don't think I have that there. But for right now, my Instagram is ms.theus_mids.theus, which is my last name. And from then on, you can hit me in my DM, message me. I'm going to be putting my email up. Yeah, I'm going to be putting my email up too. And Nova is actually going to help me finally with my Gorilla 7 page. We've been talking about it.
We're going to get
it. I know. But I'm happy that we're able to get to do this now, because I could really incorporate everything, like the music and the companies together. So yeah, but that will be it for now. Yeah.
All right. So thank you once again for coming on the Bridge Workshop series. I'm so excited. I had a great time with you. I've learned a lot. I admire you. You get me confidence, girl.
I admire your hustle. You've been doing your thing in COVID.
Listen,
I love it.
I've been going off, okay?
I love it.
Thank you. But guys, make sure you subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. And if you are on Facebook, watching on Facebook Live, make sure you follow for more content. We have so much more coming. Make sure you go and follow Barbara. You know, slide in her DMs if you need to. But don't drag it though. Don't drag it.
No Quavo.
We'll be back again. So yeah, once again, thank you so much, girl. And yeah, it's a wrap, guys. Make sure you follow me on Instagram _Novacashh with 2H. And until then, I'll see you next time.